It's me. I'm just calling to say it's me. I'm just calling to say it's me. I'm just calling to say
All right. Hi, guys. Welcome to our June 9th, 2023 edition of This Week in Crypto. I'm your host, Brian. We likely will have Maxim join us at some point. Obviously, this has been a tumultuous week with some further sliding in the markets, much of which was attributed to the big news related to Binance and Coinbase getting sued by the SEC for illegally distributing assets in ways that are not considered to be good faith by the US government. A lot of people are speculating that this is a whole lot of nothing. Others think that this could be the beginning of something a lot more major. We actually put out a poll, which I can show you, that showed that most people believe it's a whole lot of nothing, a little under half. Right here, we asked, and of course this applies to Coinbase too, but is Binance in serious trouble? About 43% said not serious, minor fines. 13% said yes, it could shut down. About 18.5% said yes, but just monetarily. And a little over a quarter said no trouble whatsoever. So that's pretty telling, guys, that the community believes that this is likely to be a slap on the wrist for the exchanges right now, and not much more than that. We also saw that the mentions related to Binance blasted off when the news happened on Monday. And then shortly after on Tuesday, that's when Coinbase had its own issues with the SEC, and it was announced that they were going to be facing legal repercussions as well. And you can even see on the trending words here, just covered by words related to the issues going on, the SEC, Binance, Gensler, Gary, Coinbase exchanges. So lots of discussion related to, is it safe for me to keep my coins on these two exchanges that are obviously Binance is the top, Coinbase, I believe, is either number 2 or number 3 in the world. Can we feel safe keeping our coins on just because the SEC is suing them? Most people think, yes, it is safe to keep your coins on. However, it's obviously the talk of the week, and it's drastically impacting the markets and the way people perceive them at the moment. We've seen, going back here, we've seen several slides, mainly from altcoins, and this makes sense. Altcoins, particularly on Coinbase and Binance, are the ones getting hit the hardest. Hex has continued to slide the most, interestingly, which is not on Binance or Coinbase. But we see, everything from Matic to Baby Doge, Fetch, Open Campus, interestingly. There are a lot of assets right now that are getting hit quite hard. And most of that hitting was at the beginning of the week as this news was coming down. There was actually a big rebound on Tuesday, then another slide on Wednesday. It was flat yesterday. And today it actually looks like markets are slightly up again. So it's almost impossible right now to keep up with what direction prices want to go, but they are indeed very volatile. So the people that are taking advantage of the volatility may be doing the best, right? You can either bet that markets are going to go up, bet that markets are going to go down, or just bet on general volatility and try to buy high and sell, or buy low, sell high repeatedly in a small range. And that is essentially what's going on right now. So as you would normally expect, we have Bitcoin down 2%. Ethereum, for whatever reason, is not actually showing on our screen right now, but it's acting pretty similarly and continues to sit around that 1840 to 1860 price range. And then it's just a bloodfest for a lot of the altcoins out there right now. And then on the social end, we have Bitcoin that's about break even at about negative 2.7%, Tether down 10.9% in discussion rate. And then look at BNB here. There is a 73% rise in the discussion rate related to it. This is, of course, Binance's native token. Let's take a look at exactly what's going on with BNB, because it's going to be very interesting. A lot of people don't think about it very much, but it is the 4th largest market cap asset out there. And it's been on quite a slide. If we zoom in to just the past month, you can see the huge drop off. Likely people within Binance heard about this lawsuit a bit in advance, and the sell-off was actually starting on Sunday. We can see right here, Sunday about 3 p.m. my time, midnight or so UTC. That's when the downtrend began, and we saw prices drop about 14.4% over the past 5.5 days or so, almost 6 days. And this is definitely trailing the rest of the markets right now. We can look at some of the metrics and how they fluctuated. Circulation picked up big time. Daily active addresses down quite a bit, so less unique addresses interacting. I'm going to hit a hard refresh really quick because I think I know how to bring back. Yeah, there we go. There were a few issues with Sanbase 2.0, which I'll get to here in just a moment, and it's working as expected now after the devs worked really hard to make some great upgrades to the app. So if you haven't checked out the new tweaks and improvements, please do check them out on app.santiment.net. Just to show a few more things on BNB. So also take a look at MVRV, right? So as much as Binance Coin has been struggling, look at what that's done to the MVRV, which is now showing that 30-day traders are -8%, 365 days, -13%. We talk all the time about how the ideal setup is when both the 30 and 365-day MVRV, or just any long, mid, and short-term MVRVs, are all showing negative percentages at the same time. And that's what we saw back here in December, when, of course, we were at a price bottom. People would love to go back in time and put in some major buys at the end of 2022 for almost any crypto asset out there. And we're not quite in that huge deep red or opportunity zone for both the short and long term, but it is showing that we are in a state of pain for all kinds of traders right now. And if Binance Coin starts to look juicy when maybe some of the SEC news calms down, keep in mind assets that look like this with negative MVRVs all around. Not much on the funding rate end. It doesn't look like there's some serious bets for or against the price right now. Whale transactions, fairly normal. You do see, check this out, huge amounts of 1 million or $1 million or more transactions going on right before the drop, right? So if you're wondering whether insiders got word about this SEC lawsuit, the answer is absolutely they did. And you can see this was the largest whale transaction spike that we saw in, looks like about a little over 6 months, 7 months. So this was huge and absolutely indicated that people knew and were selling off. You can even see that percentage-wise, let's see, Binance Coin being at $262 right now. So whales would probably start right around, I would say, the 1,000 to 10,000 range, sharks that is, and then we get into whales here. So yeah, they've all been going down pretty massively, even before the news about the lawsuit. So yeah, I mean, on-chain wise, it doesn't look great right now, or at least it indicated that the drop was very likely if you were watching in real time and suddenly got some alerts about Binance Coin's on-chain metrics looking pretty wonky. It would have been a very good indicator that prices were about to plummet. Even if you hadn't heard about the SEC news yet, there were just strange on-chain metrics going on the day before. And of course, you see the social volume suddenly spike to the highest level since October. So it has absolutely been the talk of crypto, and any new development related to Binance or Coinbase right now, while the sentiment is rather negative and people are worried about what the SEC can do to them, it can absolutely shake up crypto at the drop of a hat. So be prepared. Even if you don't think something is a big deal, remember, you want to think about markets moving from the perspective of how everyone else might overreact or underreact to it. It isn't what you think, it's what you think the crowd would think about any piece of news as it comes out. So stay tuned about further comments from Gary Gensler, the US. When it comes to the United States government, when they decide they want to crack down on something, it's a powerful enough government to have serious ramifications for whatever it is. And we've seen time and time again with crypto markets and, USD coin, Luna. There was another example I'm missing. XRP network. Their initial reaction can often have a major push down effect on whatever asset they're targeting. And then we see that, within a week or two, not much is happening and prices recover. So we can't guarantee that history is going to repeat itself every time the SEC cracks down on something, but at least historically that has been the trend. Brother Max, are you here with us yet?
Yes, I'm here.
Hello, my friend.
Yes.
Saw your message
So,
and figured
yes.
you'd be jumping in here. How's everything on your end?
Good. Hot. Just was today in Zurich on Amazon AI-related event, but it made it.
Where are you in the world right now?
Yeah, back home in Switzerland.
Very fun.
It's still quite hot now.
Switzerland in the summer. There's not many places in the world that sound more intriguing than that.
Well, winter here is also cool.
That's true. Yeah, if you like skiing and all of that fun stuff. But yeah, what do you think about all of the hoopla in the markets right now and the SEC panic?
Yeah, I would prefer if it will be one-sided, more one-sided, as people completely ignore it as a threat, or completely turn into panic. But it's a mix. When I read, there seem to be more positive bias. At least the crowd seems to be positive.
Yeah.
But when we look on chain metrics, they say, regardless what they say, they actually panicked. So based on on-chain, we should grow. I mean, taken from contrarian point of view, you didn't show yet on Ethereum deposit, active deposits, which
No,
was always.
but we definitely can.
Okay, we'll see it. Which was always bothering me. I didn't like what I saw there for a very long time. Yeah, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So if we go to Ethereum.
Yes, and active deposits.
Yeah. Oh yeah, major spikes going on. This is a very interesting metric.
Yeah, and it was takes 3 months, or 3 months, 3 last months, because we changed the metric. Remember, we include much more exchange wallets, and now this spike is explained, but the old data is not recalculated.
Right.
Yeah, so it was active deposit and deposit transactions. Typically, see both.
Deposit transactions.
Yeah.
Yeah, so huge spike on both ends, both the largest spikes we've seen since March.
So what was not so good that market didn't react, and you can do active deposit. Take it. What is aggregation now? If you select, just to see.
What's the what? Sorry.
If you click on active deposits.
Just the number of them right now? Is that what you're saying?
No. Interval. If you select.
3 hours.
Maybe take 12 hours. At least half day. It will be not so. Yeah. So it was starting from, as you say, 1st of May. Price was going down and everything. Yeah, price was going down, but the crowd or major participants, they were how to say reluctant to recognize it as a threat.
Yeah.
And this last few days, you see this huge spikes. It's at least some part. Look at it as a signal. Okay, we might be heading into difficult situation. Why don't I deposit to exchange to prepare for the sell? So this is a good signal. And this massive network activities which we've seen actually across the board, it's a good sign. So on chain, it looks cool. But then the social, to my taste, a bit too little. Negative expectations, more quite some percent of talks sharing the mood. No problem. Look how resilient the market is. So this is not good, and that explains the price action. It's neither up nor down. We will definitely break out. We cannot stay in crypto for too long time in equilibrium. But this time I'm reluctant to make a call. I myself still holding long, but I might be wrong. This time I accept and acknowledge I might be wrong. Sometimes I'm more confident. This time I really have no idea. Will we break up, or should we destroy a little bit more confidence so that people not only on chain but in the talk will become more bearish? Yeah, this is the stance. By the way, the data I was just talking today with our social guys. There was something finally, Twitter and the API, they screw it, stopped working, and we switched to the new way of scraping data, but there were some issues. So it will take maybe 1 day to pick up a social volume. Don't pay attention yet. Starting from yesterday, somewhere till Monday, I think it will get fixed. But now this total social volume might be volatile unless the gaps will get filled.
Yeah, I mean, based on my impressions and looking at this chart, even if there's a few inaccuracies based on what the social guys are working on, I think it's pretty clear that when Binance is being discussed heavily, that seems to be when the markets are most sensitive. We can even see right here, markets plummeted right when there was this news on Monday about Binance getting sued, and then look at this little divot when Binance and Coinbase were talked about less. That was right when markets actually saw their bounce on Tuesday, and then it picked up again with more Coinbase talk. Prices went down, and then whether this is accurate or not, on Wednesday and Thursday, there was this big drop again, and that's when markets recovered. So I find that interesting, and it almost reminds me of the sensitivity to COVID when it was first breaking in March and April. When social volume of that topic was really high, markets plummeted. When they started to ease up and decide, oh, it's not as big of a deal, that's when prices were rising. So I think there's a bit of inverse correlation, especially with the Binance end of things, more so than Coinbase. But we'll have to wait and see. And you can also see based on the platform, right? Reddit had a very strong impact. Twitter, obviously, huge. And those two platforms in particular, if you watch these two related to Binance and Coinbase and their overall sensitivity to the SEC lawsuit right now, I think you can pick up some good alpha as to just how much panic and apathy there is to the lawsuits in general at any given time. You could even look up like Gensler. So Gary Gensler is, of course, kind of leading the discussions related to this lawsuit in the SEC. And yeah, you can see right when markets were recovering was when he was the head of the news and addressing the issues. I don't know if you saw this, Maxim, but there was actually a news story about how he attempted to get a job with Binance back in 2018.
Yeah, now I really, yes, advisory.
How funny is that?
Yeah, what can we trust now? I either this message is the next one when he was supposedly short market. I expect more messages will come because it's so potentially profitable for those speculating on long and short positions. They can spread around anything. Question is which of this is true. And I'm not sure how easy or how fast we can get an answer.
Yeah, I mean, there's propaganda out there. That's something we all have to be aware of. Stories will come at key times where, right when we think something's a big deal, it'll be like, oh, Gary Gensler tried to get a job with Binance in 2018, or the SEC actually is trying to get paid off, and that's all that's going on here. And it's very difficult to decipher what the truth is. There's certain sources out there that you can very much trust. If it's national headlines, of course, Wall Street Journal here in the US, those are ones I would advise are going to give accurate information, and they don't really report on things unless it's with 100% confidence in most cases. Even something we report, if I write something or Maxim writes something here on our insights page, we will state whether it's something that's a rumor or something that's been confirmed in our posts about a subject like this. And I may have a story coming out about these further developments as soon as today or this weekend. So stay tuned for that. But just be aware of where you're getting your sources when it comes to this kind of news, because things can take twists and turns, and the media, as we all know, can say whatever they want and shift the markets at the drop of a hat just from a rumor sometimes.
Yeah. Brian, by the way, did you? I think you did not yet present our new social tool. Actually, there are a few things that will be beneficial for people. Just go to the main. Yes, you see this now. We have AI summary. It's now published, and you have social dominance for all top 10 topics, which is cool. I remember one thing when on the peak yesterday, before yesterday, the social dominance from 1 to 10 topics, and all of them were related. SSE, Gary against Coinbase, Binance. Everything was about 35%.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? 35% of all conversation crypto was just about it. It just really shows. I don't remember any other example where such a focused discussion was. So it is obviously, will resolve one way or another. I mean, price action, and it is a turning point. Either to kill the hope, and we go down and finally make a bottom, or to shrug off and we go up, which I prefer still at the moment because of some on-chain data we discussed 2 days ago, and then go down. Yes, I don't expect the final bottom be so fast, but I can be wrong. But this new tool, this AI summary, it's a really cool thing. For instance, now you see number 5. I know what moons. Do you know what moons are? Don't press on the AI summary. Just if you know or not.
Me personally?
Yes.
Yeah. It's the Reddit token that people exchange.
Yeah. It's so smart. It's not just moon or whatever. No, and pressing the AI summary, it's really very, this icon under AI summary. It tells you quite good story. Not on moons directly, this one. Mm-hmm.
Oh, so got it.
Yeah.
So if I open that, wow, I haven't seen this yet.
Yes, it just released a few days ago. It looks like you're still struggling with some cache issues. After stream, you will resolve it, and then you have the latest version. And now it's, if I'm not mistaken, I'm always logged into our platform, but I think it's even in free access. You can get this top 10. You don't need to read any media anymore. Well, of course you will do. I will do too. But generally, whenever you wake up or you come back from some break, you want to know what is the 10 topic. This is where you get. And if something not clear what it means, and I hope there will be again time when I open it, I don't know half of what's going on because it's kind of usually way, not like now. Now we all know what's going on. So you come here, you see something unknown, you click just a few buttons, and you're up to date. 10 minutes, you know, all major topics discussed in crypto. It's really cool. And we'll keep iterating to make it more and more advanced or broad, or maybe connecting with our AI bot. We'll see. But it's the first major release on our social AI journey.
This is honestly amazing, Max. I think this, I mean, I'm just browsing over a few of the explanations, and they're absolutely accurate. You know, it isn't misidentifying why they're in the top 10. It's really focusing in on like really what the explanation is for why it's jumping onto the top 10 trending page over the past 24 hours. So I think, you know, for education purposes, even for myself as I report the news, or our community when they're trying to ask themselves why something like Hunter Biden, for example, leaked photos of Hunter Biden with prostitutes, you know, these things that are not even crypto related, it'll still tell you why these are subjects of conversation on crypto forums, and maybe they have a very loose correlation to the markets, but it can have a dramatic effect when you look at each one of these and why they have risen so much in the interest of crypto traders right now. So yeah, I think this is going to be tremendously useful, and I recommend everyone check it out, especially as people finally start to move on to other topics, and you might see like, you know, Litecoin, for example, because its halving is less than 2 months away now. you might see that be a trending topic at some point, and the AI summary will give you all the details of why a certain asset has jumped onto the top 10. So yeah, thanks for pointing that out, Max.
Yeah, no worries. I was following closely with our developers, but probably it's not part of your daily duties.
Yeah, no, we did. So just yesterday, I put out a big announcement about it. So I knew about the Sanbase 2.0. I just didn't know specifically about the AI feature. But for those who don't know, we'll briefly go over it really quick. So let's see. So this is our pinned post on our Twitter at the moment. We're happy to announce Sanbase 2.0. You'll see a bevy of upgrades and improvements when you visit. General improvements include being significantly faster in terms of the startup time, improved overall performance, reduced application size, and optimizing efficiency and storage. All of this essentially means it's a quicker experience for you, and everything will load faster, get the data at the drop of a hat without any downtime. The feed has, feed items that have been reworked. So that's probably related to what we just looked at with the AI feature. Seamless scrolling experience, now accessible on the mobile version, which is important for all of you who prefer to use Sanbase on your Android or iPhone. The social tool, of course, has the top trends table with AI summaries, as we looked at, with the significant enhancements on the social tool, such as social volume and more detailed charts. Categorized by Telegram, Reddit, Twitter, and 4chan. Look at multiple trends simultaneously, even on your mobile device. Watch list page showcases, and significant improvements to the loading speed, as mentioned, with almost all metrics now supported on the mobile version. So, I think the most significant upgrades is what we show on our desktops here or on our computers during these This Week in Crypto shows. You'll now see the same on your phones with the same functionality, same speed, and of course, minor improvements like that AI feature, which I think is a pretty big game changer. So yeah, there's quite a bit to be excited about, and you'll see more and more enhancements like this even beyond Sanbase 2.0's official release as we get into 2.1, 2.2, and continue to iron out things that make the experience better and better. But yeah, why don't we look at some of the on-chain metrics now for Bitcoin and get into maybe some of your requests here in 15 to 20 minutes or so regarding other assets or just general questions you have about the markets. We'll zoom in here to about 3 months and see how transaction volume is looking. It does appear that everything is fairly normal. Yeah, we had a slight uptick on the 5th and 6th with the Binance news, but this isn't really outside the realm of normal. And overall, it does appear that the on-chain transaction volume is pretty dormant for now. However, the daily active addresses certainly have not been normal. With the news coming out on Monday and Tuesday related to Binance and Coinbase, we saw the highest amount of unique addresses moving on the network since April 21st. So about a month and a half since we last saw the daily active addresses exceed 1 million addresses, and it happened twice in a row on the 5th and 6th. Even right now, the 7th was still very high, and we'll see how the current day ends up here. But daily active addresses very high at the moment. Circulation not so much. We'll take a brief pause and look at the NVT chart to back that up. And really what we're seeing is a whole lot of red still. This is the 10th straight month now where the NVT model is indicating that we aren't quite getting enough unique tokens moving around to justify this market cap. And that's important. We've seen plenty of anomalies recently where prices go down even with healthy circulation, and prices go up even with unhealthy circulation. But for the most part, if you take this at face value, it generally gets things right given enough time going by. And right now, it shows that the overall token circulation is not quite where it needs to be with market caps in this 25K to 30K range for Bitcoin, and around this 1800 to 1900 range for Ethereum, where we're also seeing a lot of red at the moment. So bearish divergences on the circulation side. We do have to be wary of this, even if other metrics are looking more positive, which there are plenty of positive metrics out there right now to kind of counterbalance what we just showed. 30-day MVRV. Yeah, go ahead, Maxim.
In connection with circulation, the positive sign is increased network activities, actually also Bitcoin. I remember Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all other coins which we have in our portfolio. All of them have shown dramatic increase. Well, some dramatic, just some normal increase in their activities, which, as you said, this is on a good side. Yeah, this is a good side. When you see this positive divergence, price is declining, and into this declining price, network activity spiking, it means there is a kind of redistribution. Some are panicking and some are seeing this opportunity. And then market making and all this takes place. Usually it's around the turning point. Yeah, let's say 70% of the time. So I still keep it, but as a positive sign. But if I would see more negative sentiment on the social media, I would make probably stronger call. Now it's a kind of gentle bullish call. Yeah, but network activity, been spiking.
For sure. Yeah, I've seen the same. And we'll look at it with some other assets as well. We obviously saw it for daily active addresses. And this will look similar for, Ethereum and a lot of network growth metrics for a lot of ERC20s out there right now. But for MVRV, it looks like the 30-day for Bitcoin is just about right at break even at the moment. So short-term to mid-term traders are right about at zero. However, 365-day, we still have to be aware of the fact that long-term traders are up a little over 15% at the moment. If we look at the last year here for comparison, we can see that, these were the ideal times to buy here right after the FTX collapse was happening, where 30-day and 365-day were very low, and then they started to rise. We saw the opposite here, where in mid-April, right when prices were topping, look at how 365-day was over 30%, 30-day was over 7%. And now it's kind of a split bag, right? We have 30-day not really in the positive zone, 365-day still is. I think this is really showing that it can go either way at the moment for Bitcoin. And then funding rate, not much happening, which I'm surprised. I did see, for Binance Coin, for example, there was some weird fluctuations, and now they're break even. Bitcoin's funding rates are break even. And I think if we look at this, so, other than Ren, Kava, Storage, Tron, a few of the abstract assets out there, I even see Axie Infinity and Band. But yeah, overall, it's pretty dormant, and not a lot of major longing or shorting is going on at the moment. And I'm kind of surprised. I actually thought there would be some shorting that would be quite prevalent after the news hit, but it seems as though people kind of feel like us, Maxim, where they're just very hesitant to go either direction due to the uncertainty of how big of a deal these lawsuits are. Whale transactions as well. We see there was an uptick on the 5th, 6th, and 7th as the news was breaking. This was the highest we saw since right around the price top about 2 months ago. So we have to be aware of the fact that there is some increased movement, but we want to look at the context behind these whale transactions, and that's where supply distribution comes in. And we can see that the 10 to 10,000 line is barely moving. It's actually, after this long drop, ever since the price top, when prices started to come down here over the past 2 months, Bitcoin's sharks and whales have actually accumulated a bit. And since the 10th, they're still up about 0.33% of the supply. So they've started to accumulate back as prices have dropped from that 31K range down to the 26K range. And for now, at least over the past couple of weeks, it's essentially flat, not moving in either direction. And that's a good thing. It means that they aren't panicking quite the way the crowd has been. And if they start to increase their bags while these whale transaction counts are a little high, that would be a good sign that the key stakeholders in the largest asset in crypto are beginning to make a move and prices are likely to rise. We'll look at the ratio of transaction volume and profit to loss in just a moment. We can see that the mean dollar invested age continues to rise. Nothing exciting there in terms of a big drop that we can keep an eye on. That would indicate a bull run is coming. Network realized profit loss, nothing special there. Supply and exchanges, obviously, it's very important to note that we're back down to about 6.5% of supply on exchanges. And this is, I believe, if we go back to like 2017 and we go up to present day. By the way, the Sanbase 2.0, it looks better on the calendar here for sure. They've made some improvements, to say the least. There we go. So yeah, I mean, 6.5%, the last time we were this low was about 2018. So even late 2017. So we're at a very low point in terms of the amount of Bitcoin that can continue to be sold off. And we can feel good about the fact that there is very, very little in terms of inflows. The last time we really saw inflows was right around the price top. So this made sense when you started to see these kinds of spikes and these kinds of spikes all throughout the mid to latter half of April. That is when we would be concerned that a price top is happening and prices were likely to go down. That's exactly what happened. But now we're very low and even lower than before this big price bounce started. And that is a good sign. Social volume and dominance. Obviously, this is when we changed our social metrics. So we can only, this is a better way of looking at it if we only go the past 3 months after that change was made. And it does look like overall social volume is continuing to decline. And this is just a reflection of less and less people in crypto. One thing I reported on yesterday is the fact that the overall discussion rates of a lot of our most popular topics are just continuing to move down as people get frustrated and bored of the markets. After 2 months of a decline here, it seems like the interested parties are beginning to exit and no longer discuss the major aspects of crypto the way they were. So that can be a good thing as well. Disinterest is often, the cousin of capitulation. And capitulation in crypto is often what the patient hodlers like ourselves on this call would wait for in order to justify that prices are about to rise. And a few other topics on Bitcoin before we move on. Weighted sentiment, very down, right? This is the most negative we have seen since mid-May. So we're looking at about 6 or 7 weeks since we last saw discussions at such a negative level. I should say 3 weeks, I'm sorry. There's no month in between May and June. But either way, right, we've jumped back into negative range and pretty much the most negative we've been since May. And I think this is the second most negative week of 2023 if this holds up. So that could be a very good sign that people are beginning to FUD and release their coins at a loss. And we can see exactly, if I can find here we go. If I can find the ratio of profit loss for both Bitcoin and Ethereum really quick, let's take a look at exactly how it's going right now. So two different paths. Bitcoin is actually showing that there are more loss transactions than profit transactions right now, whereas Ethereum is actually seeing a lot of profit taking, which I find quite fascinating. They've both been about the same over the past week or so, but for whatever reason, people are taking their profits while they can in Ethereum, while Bitcoin, people are kind of standing pat. And that's kind of a reflection of how Bitcoin traders tend to behave during volatility. There tends to be a higher percentage of hodlers in Bitcoin compared to any other asset, whereas Ethereum has a little more swing trading, perhaps due to its slightly higher volatility than Bitcoin. But for whatever reason, we have to be mindful of the fact that Ethereum is seeing a few more concerns here, because the last time we really saw the price move following these profit-taking spikes, that was when the top hit, and this was both Bitcoin and Ethereum. So look for situations where Bitcoin and Ethereum are both seeing profit-taking at the same time, like we saw here and here and here, and that tends to be when we see these price tops form. So at least for now, Ethereum is seeing profit-taking, but Bitcoin, not so much. All right, and that's basically the on-chain transaction or on-chain metrics for Bitcoin right now. Why don't we open it up to some questions and give a good like 20 to 25 minutes on some of the requests that people have, if you see some, Balresh.
So far, there was a request for LINA, L-I-N-A.
Mm-hmm. Let's take a look at LINA. So linear is a very abstract asset. It's outside the top 300 right now. But let's take a look and see exactly what's happening with it. With price, while we're on ratio of daily on-chain transaction volume and profit to loss, let's take a look at that exact metric. And we'll go to weekly. So yeah, the zero line, if we mark it, it's going to be right there. So you can see that last week and this week, we are well below this line. And I can see why people are asking about it. It went on this huge surge and then gave almost all of those profits back within a week at the start of June here. So with that, obviously you would expect that there's more loss transactions than profit transactions, just like there were tons of profiting going on as the price was surging in late May. So yeah, that would be a good sign that people are capitulating and jumping out of the asset at a loss here, at the biggest loss since late December, which was right before a big rise happened. So that would be a good bullish sign. And now let's take a look at some of the main on-chain and social metrics here. Yeah, you can see the transaction volume and the trading volume went absolutely nuts at the end of May, early June. This is to be expected with any sort of big rise. If I look here and I just drag my mouse while holding down shift from the 27th to the top on June 2nd, we saw a cool 160% rise. And then after the top hit, the price has fallen back down. It's given back more than half of its market cap, dropping 54% since a week ago today. Daily active addresses in circulation, same thing. Huge spikes. Not really any alpha to get here because this is just an expected spike that you see pretty much any time a price top hits, at least outside of this one. 3 out of the last 4 price tops set up perfectly to show you that there was likely to be a correction coming soon. So when you are watching an asset like LINA or something that's not a top 100 market cap asset, and it has a generally small market cap relative to them, if you see these big spikes in utility all of a sudden, it's generally people profit taking, and especially ones that are high key stakeholders like sharks and whales. Now, MVRV is a really good alpha metric for an asset like LINA because you can clearly see when the average trader profitability is above or below water. And right now, it's actually quite low after this huge run up and then fall back down. The 30-day average traders are down 29%, which is the lowest it's been since March 15th. This would be historically a very good indicator to show that we don't have much further to fall, and LINA may be able to rebound now that it's pushed average trading returns as low as they are. And especially to strengthen that point, the 365-day traders are also extremely low at negative 17%. This is the lowest it's been since mid-March again. So both of these are lining up to be some pretty low, I should say, opportunistic levels if you are interested in doing some contrarian trading right now while other traders are in so much pain. So I'd say this is an extremely good bullish indicator for LINA at the moment based on history. Funding rate, it doesn't look like there's anything special. There was this big shorting spike that was going on in late May, early June. So all of these shorts got liquidated and eventually they died down and it's been neutral ever since. Whale transactions, just like the other utility indicators, huge profit taking going on from whales right around the top on this day. I could even make this a little more granular, look at like 15-minute timelines. Zoom in here. So yeah, you can see that, you know, this big spike right here was an indication that it would be a good time to get out. And then this little one right there, that was the big whale transaction spike right before everything fell crashing down. So if you watch these whale transaction spikes in tandem with, you know, daily active addresses or circulation, it can be really telling as to when the precise time is that you know, exiting would be justified based on these huge key stakeholders jumping out themselves with over $1 million move here and plenty more $1 million moves here. As far as some of the larger address tiers go, so the price of LINA is at about 1.2 cents at the moment. So if we look at about 1 million or more, all the way up to maybe 100 million to a billion, these three address tiers can be very telling. And it looks like the amount of million to 10 million coin addresses have moved up, 10 million to 100 million have moved up, and 100 million to a billion have moved down. So there were 13 addresses on June 2nd, and all of a sudden there were 9 on June 3rd. That would be a sign that they were exiting, right? 4 out of the 13 addresses worth 100 million to a billion LINA got out of LINA right at this price top between June 2nd and June 3rd. That would be a very good indication that you can drop out too. And then if we look at the percentage of supply, which is arguably a bit more accurate, and let's add price to this chart so we can see some context. So 1 million to 10 million, they were quite high, took some profit. The 100 million to a billion, you know, even though there were 4 out of those 13 that exited, look at how the percentage of supply actually stayed high and then eventually dropped off big time. And it's now back to its lowest level since late May. If we combine all of these, which might be even more useful, I just click merge there, hit confirm. I'm going to take these off so they aren't as much of a distraction. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's kind of right back where it started. We had this huge rise going from 38% up to 52% and then back down to 38%. It doesn't look like there was this huge sell-off. So LINA is still the sharks and whales are still holding about the same as they were in late May. That's encouraging. So compared to like the 25th before the big rise happened, they were holding 34.7%, and now they're at 38%. So I would argue that this is a good sign that the sharks and whales haven't gone anywhere, and they may just be waiting for the next big rise or some sort of rebound after the first big wave happened. So I think that's a bullish sign that we're still up here instead of down here, like we were in mid to late May. We already touched on ratio of transaction and profit to loss. Look at this. So this was a very good indication that LINA was going on quite a rise. Tons of dormant movement of LINA moving out of those stagnant addresses that weren't really moving. Between the 28th and 1st, this was justifying that prices could climb higher and higher and higher as the mean dollar invested age line. Yeah.
It's a classic pattern which we like to see. As a matter of fact, I was given recently a talk, and I said that mean dollar invested age, the moment you see it dropping, it means redistribution started. In Bitcoin, Ethereum, you have approximately window of 6 months before you should consider going into cash. On the smaller coins, of course, it's much shorter and faster. I wonder how long time did it take here? Yeah, 4 days. Yeah, now it's accumulating again. And
yeah, slowly but
it
surely.
it doesn't matter where you can you take a longer time. How long does it exist?
So this is the past. This is only about like the last 3 weeks or so. If we go back a year,
I don't think it exists. Oh, no, it does. So it was the first a kind of relatively big redistribution. Okay. So it might continue. Interesting. Actually, it spiked a lot. Quite a volatility.
Yeah, about a 6.2% drop in the mean dollar invested age line. I think anything over like a 3% drop is pretty massive in most cases.
Yeah.
And then look at the network realized profit loss here too. We actually saw a ton of loss taking as the price was rising, and then this huge profit take right here. This was the sign that it was time to get out, and it lined up perfectly with this last one. These last two, I should say. LINA has been actually quite predictable. If you look at asset metrics like network realized profit loss or profit on-chain profit transactions, huge spike right at the top, huge spike right at the top. Even this one had a little mini spike here, and then another huge profit spike right at the top. So especially in this case, you had this one happen at 17 o'clock on May 31st, and the top didn't happen until the next day. So there was about a 24-hour period where you have good alpha telling you that it's time to take some profit and begin to potentially exit your positions before the top happened. Exchange flow, same thing. Look at this, Maxim. The supply and exchanges did something very strange where it's likely related to those dormant addresses where on the 25th, we suddenly see the supply and exchanges go from 17.8% all the way down to 9.9%. So like the exchange supply almost dropped in half, and then it all came back right after the price top hit.
Probably it helped to pump.
Yeah, went above 20%, and it's still above 20% now. So I would expect that the volatility for LINA is not done yet based on the fact that supply and exchanges has more than a fifth of all of the LINA sitting on exchanges at the moment. Social volume and dominance, it actually lagged after the price top. So a lot of people started talking about the sudden pump and dump that had happened in LINA. And it didn't really lead to any sort of rebound, at least yet. The crowd suddenly recognized LINA as an asset to watch following that big pump. If I can zoom into the last 3 months again, we'll even do last month. So it's like the crowd suddenly got extremely knowledgeable of LINA with over 4% of discussions related to it. And then prices continue to drop, and they just said, never mind. We don't want to talk about it anymore. And now it's kind of flat once again. But I think this is interesting because it shows that there was at least a wave of time that LINA was a topic. And I'm curious, if we go to our newly renovated social trends page here, and we look at, let's see, the ticker, okay, linear or LINA. You can just type linear, capital letters or, and then LINA. So you can see the big social volume spike that correlates with Sanbase. Nothing on Telegram, nothing on Reddit. So all of this talk was on Twitter, of all places. And then the price dropped a little more and Twitter just completely stopped. I almost feel like this is potentially bot activity related to the pump and dump, and then a lot of people dropped out once again. But I find that pretty fascinating. This happens a lot with smaller altcoins where the crowd will get extremely excited. Usually it happens here, but in this case it happened on the way down, where maybe a lot of people felt that this was the rebound opportunity and then saw that prices just continue to drop and immediately fell back off. Weighted sentiment, I think this is probably pretty deceiving because this is just due to the big social volume spike that happened during this week. And it doesn't look like we have dev activity data on LINA. But yeah, appreciate the suggestion to look at a big pump and dump asset like LINA that just had this huge rise. I think there's, especially with MVRV, looking very low right now, and whales staying pretty high right here compared to what they were back in May. I think that's a good sign that LINA may not be done yet. Obviously not investment advice and anything can happen, but based on historical evidence, when we see whales still holding significantly more than they used to, and average trading returns being significantly lower than they have been in quite some time, that's a good, 1-2 combination that things can be, on the way up once again in the future.
Yeah, good summary.
Yeah. And, speaking of dev activity really quick, we haven't yet updated the top 10 list, or we'll even look at top 20 here as it loads. While this loads, Bharesh, do you see any other comments for?
Yeah, there was one more asset request, Solana.
Solana, sure. So Solana, just to warn everyone, we don't have on-chain activity.
For Solana, it's the analysis is simple, guys. We should keep it simple for Solana. As long as we've seen, and we've seen it for the last month, negative sentiment, it can grow. As fundamentally, if we can speak about fundamentals, Solana, people keep building. They have money to run. They are not going away. Of course, they have this track record of working Monday to Friday, 8 to 5. But it doesn't remove the fact there is some community there. There is some community there, and your only analysis you should be doing, or if there is strong enough negative sentiment. If you see one, you can try longs. It can be profitable. If you don't see one, leave it aside. Solana is controversial, and you will see if you're interested into it on the channel, so you can even enter. I think we don't show all the social data yet. Okay, you cannot use our tools yet, not yet. But on your feeds, which you are observing, track for Solana. If there is negative sentiment or diminishing comments, you can go long. Not investment advice, but this is the analysis. Is the best for Solana. As on-chain metric, it's a complex and it's overbloated state. I even don't know if there is anyone who can do reliable on-chain statistics for them. And social is as simple as this. Negative, people making jokes and fans. Why not? Try your chance. It might work better than the others.
Yeah, it's definitely a very sentiment-driven asset, kind of like Cardano, kind of like XRP, kind of like Chainlink. Those are kind of the four I think of where there's a lot of discussion that's either very positive or very negative, and the price
So you
tends
just
to go
wait.
the opposite.
What Brian said, this assets, maybe a few others. You just wait. There will be time when people are very negative to them, and this is your time. But patience is needed. It's very easy to convince yourself, oh wow, there are good news, but this is not the moment where you enter this kind of assets. You should enter when people make jokes and you feel like that's it, or there is no hope or less hope, and then they will not die so easily, these assets. There is teams behind, there is developers, there is community of developers, especially for Solana, and for Cardano as well, and for Ripple is quite strong centralized entity behind. There are maybe not so big community of developers, but there is community of shillers and marketers, let's put it this way. Chainlink's similar. Chainlink has quite good marketing and partnerships here and there all the time. Just need to wait the time when people don't have good opinion on them. Then it's an accumulation time.
Yeah, I want to say it was January or February when we were seeing a lot of mocking and satirical posts about Solana's latest network outage and how, we can't trust the network and the devs behind it. They're manipulating the price and stuff. And all of that could be very true. But what ended up happening was Solana went on this huge surge right then. And I remember it was at like $8 or $9, and all of a sudden it was approaching $30 during that bull run, and it was one of the best performing assets. And we'll look at the prices in just a second, but I also wanted to mention that it also used to be one of the top developing assets before we found out that the Solana development activity was likely not real, and there was a lot of inauthentic GitHub activity showing it was causing it to be on charts like ours. And now, it's not anywhere near the top 20, or actually, I should say it is still the 20th, but it used to be top 5. So it's interesting to see how that's fallen off as well. But really quick, just to go down the line, we have the usual Cardano, Polkadot, and Kusama as the top 3. And then we see Chainlink that's actually risen quite a bit. Status, Ethereum, Hedera, Cosmos, Vega, Osmosis, these are some of the top 10 here. Aptos, Internet Computer, Uniswap, Decentraland, Avalanche, IOTA, Oasis Network, Stella, and then there's Solana right there. So that's just a little preview of the top 20 in terms of overall development activity on a daily basis over the past 30 days. In terms of the most notable developments that are happening on the network, we ignore things like Slack updates or a simple routine checkup on the network, stuff like that can often kind of graze over the relevance of development activity. So looking at Solana really quick, let's see here. So as mentioned, we want to look at just social metrics because we don't have on-chain full on-chain metrics for Solana at this time, but stay tuned. We're still adding more metrics for all assets in the future. We can see, interestingly, there was this huge spike here on the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, so much so that I'm going to go to our social tool really quick, and I want to take a look at what the big topics were for Solana. So it looks like the relevant topics were all over the place: network, Ethereum, Binance. I'm wondering if Solana was one of the big topics of the Binance and Coinbase SEC lawsuit, because this is a pretty dramatic social volume spike. If the person who requested Solana happens to know, I'd love to find out, actually. If I type it in on Twitter, I'm just curious what would pop up.
I think it got delisted somewhere, but I'm not sure which exchange.
Let's check. Solana delist. We'll say delisting. Robinhood delisting Solana and Cardano from its platform. So that's a big deal. And it looks like Matic as well. So that probably had a dramatic, pun intended, impact on the two assets. Coinbase, so people are now anticipating that it could next be delisted on Coinbase. So yeah, this explains why we had this huge Solana social volume spike here. As far as its actual price, yeah, we saw a major price top right as the SEC news broke, and since that time, it's fallen about 14%. That's about the same as what we saw with Binance Coin. So it's one of the most impacted assets so far as this news has broken and delistings have begun. Yeah, and then weighted sentiment, we saw this big positive spike, but I think this is deceiving because it's mostly just related to the social volume that had been coming down and the increased interest for the wrong reasons. So I think Solana is a dangerous one to be in at the moment. You know, if there are, I will say this, there are probably some contributing factors related to people thinking that Coinbase and maybe Binance are going to delist Solana. It doesn't look like that's been confirmed based on what we saw on Twitter just now, but just the speculation is causing Solana's price to fall dramatically. And if it turns out that the rumor is not true, and Coinbase is not delisting or Binance is not delisting Solana, that would actually lead to a likely rebound. It may not be this kind of massive rebound, but I wouldn't be surprised if the price it instantly comes back to where it was right before the fall. So this is going to be a very news-driven price action over the next week or two as we hear whether Solana is safe or not safe. And that's really the cap that we can put on Solana here. Anything else you'd want to maybe add to that, Maxim?
No, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think you know, we looked at LINA and Solana. That can be enough for today. We took a pretty good inspection of the overall markets by checking out Bitcoin. You know, we even talked about whales here. I didn't get to this chart, but in short, it appears, if I zoom into the last 3 months, it appears that stable coins are going up, which we actually just reported on an insight that I wrote yesterday. You can see that Tether's whale and shark holdings are above 40% now, and USD coin is right up there with it. DAI is right up there with it, and even Binance coin right here is moving in the right direction. So stable coins, lots of increased buying power from what I'm seeing. Bitcoin, sharks, and whales are kind of staying flat here. I think there's some positive indications right now as far as sharks and whales. And we're going to have to see how this SEC lawsuit stuff plays out. You know, if I had to predict, I think that the Twitter community has gotten it correct, and it's likely to be some very mild slaps on the wrist for Binance and Coinbase, but the two of the largest exchanges in the world are not going to be going anywhere. But let's wait and see. You know, pay attention to the Gary Gensler news, the SEC, and everything related to this news that's been breaking this week. And yeah, I guess for now, proceed with caution, right? Because it is going to be a more volatile next couple of weeks for sure. And if you are staying patient, you could find some very advantageous spots to buy the dip if there is more dips coming up. And if things start to rise again, understand that we're still pretty far away from that, you know, 30.8K Bitcoin price top that we saw back in mid-April. So there could be some room to rise before you might get tempted to start profit taking again. But yeah, that's pretty much it. On behalf of Maxim here and Max, who's done a great job of running the stream today, I want to wish everyone a wonderful weekend. Stay safe and warm out there, and let's get ready for a hopefully very bullish and exciting crypto summer here. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Brian. Talk to you guys next week.
You bet. Take care.